This is Garthrow with a quick explanation of how to use the Underbarrel grenade launcher accurately in Planetside 2. So the first thing we need to do is check we've got the right equipment. So the correct equipment for this build is a weapon that has an Underbarrel grenade launcher, obviously. And then you're going to need a sweeper HUD. The reason you're going to need that HUD is you need to get a range to your target, and that's the easiest way to do it. Just grab that and you'll have a range to target. Engineer is the preferred class mainly because you can get the hard light barrier and you can get an ammo pack for yourself, so you can keep the fire going. So once you've got your correct class, you get yourself set up by first dropping your ammo in front of you, and if you're a little scared about the world hurting you, putting your hard light barrier up as well. The reason you want to do that first is because when you switch from traditional fire to grenade mode and back, your aim actually moves a little bit. And so if you want to be accurate, you don't want to shift out of this firing once you get started. So we're aiming along two axes. First, the horizontal axis. To do that, we line up on the reticule if we're aiming for a pretty close target. But for a far target, we line up on this here, the right line of the ammo box at the bottom of your screen. That's the right edge of the ammo box on the bottom of your screen, lined up on the guy there. And that'll tell you where to aim along the horizontal axis. Along the vertical axis, we're using various points on the gun as references for different ranges. These are discovered through testing, and notice that the gun does sway, which means these are not exact. There is going to be a little bit of variation in how you use these. So there's an enemy over there that I want to grenade. He's 50 meters away. I know from experience that 50 meters is about equal to a certain part on the gun. So for instance, right now I'm lining up with what I'll call the left rail. Okay, it's kind of like the rail up on top here, but it is lined up on the left side of the gun. Now beneath that on the gun, there's a section here that is now touching our target, that is between the left rail and the grenade launcher beneath it. That's about where we want him to be lined up for a 50-meter shot. So that's my best guess on that. And I line it up horizontally with the reticule and shot. Down. That's it. That's 50 meters. There is a little bit of variability. You won't always get perfect shots like I am now, but you can see here that you can wipe people out. I think I'm getting headshots or something. Normally it takes two. Yeah, so there was one that was a close miss, and he's dead in 2 shots. So that's 50 meters. Pretty easy. Now, what do we do for 75 meters? Well, let's see. Over here, I believe there's a guy who's about 75 meters. Okay, 74 meters away for that guy. We're going to go with him. 74 meters away, there's that infiltrator. So for 74 meters, we don't line up here, because that's the 50-yard spot, right? 50-meter spot. No, for 75, we're going to line up a little lower. We're going to line up right at the corner of the grenade launcher. Let me touch that point to him so you can see it. It's right about there. It's right about the corner of the grenade launcher. You can see it touching the target now. I'm going to go back, horizontally line up about there, shot. That was a hit. You can see my reticule there. And he's dead on the second one. So that's 75 meters. Once again, that's about there. You can see him spawning in. That's about there on the gun. Down kind of in the middle of the grenade launcher, kind of at its corner. That was too long. See, sometimes you are going to miss by a little bit. You're going to have to correct there. So I brought that one a little bit closer. And now again, I'm getting hits. Okay, so that's 75. Now we need a longer target still. We need a 100-meter target. And I'm looking for one of those. Maybe I'll just back up and use that same guy. So that engineer is 85. He's pretty good. So we're going to back up until we got a good shot on him. Once again, we're going to set up our ammo kit, set up our hard light barrier. And now we've got our engineer, and he is at 100 meters. Okay, so for 100, We're not going to line up here above the grenade launcher because that's 50 meters. We're not going to line up here on the grenade launcher because that's 75 meters. Instead, we're going to line up for the 100-meter shot just below the firing pin. My friend will stop killing him. So this firing pin is the part of the gun that's kind of touching him now. It shoots out of the left side of the gun. You can see it go back and forth when you fire. So if I just test this out, actually it doesn't. Well, it should. On a real gun, it would go back and forth when you fire or when you reload. But anyway, so it's the pin shooting out of the gun on the left side. So there's our engineer. He's 100 meters away. We're going to line him up with just beneath this pin here. And now we're getting hard to do horizontally, so you got to keep in mind, okay, that's a little long. You can see it hit behind him. Now someone else has killed him, so I have to wait a second for him to respawn. But you will be able to see him. There he is. He respawned. Okay, still too long. There it is. There's a hit. So again, even if you've practiced, it may take a time or two. Now notice I got the max just by accident there. This thing does have some AoE, and it is effective against maxes as well. There was your hit. There's the hit again. So if I take this horizontally over, that's about where it is. It's right by that firing pin, you can see. And this is dependent in part on the elevation that he's at and the elevation I'm at. So if he's a little higher, you have to change it. If he's a little lower. So the main thing is you know where to start. That'll get you within a few meters of him. And from there, you've got to watch where you hit and adjust up or down based upon the explosion being behind them, like it was there, or in front of them, like it has not been in the last few shots. So there, that was in front of the target. You can see that explosion in front of his silhouette. Yeah, so now you don't need to add to your ranging. There, and there it hit. I added a little bit, and now I got some more hits. And he's down. So that is 100 meters. Now the 125 meters gets a little harder, because at that distance, any slight deviation makes a real difference. The round itself seems to phase out at about 135 meters. So at that range, you just can't hit anything. The round disappears before it impacts. So that's 135. That's a little too far. We're going to go a little closer than that. And a lot of times you will have guys that are between these points, right? They're not at precisely 25 meters because they aren't in VR. Well, these are just reference points. So you know that if someone is a little bit shorter than 100 meters, you can aim a little bit lower than the 100 meter mark and so forth. So for 125, you definitely got to line up on the ammo, on the right edge of the ammo. And you also have to line up on the top of the beginning of the thumbnail. So you see that thumb lined up with him there. Here's our target again, not that Max, that guy, engineer. You line up the top of the thumbnail with him, not the top of the thumb, but the beginning of the thumbnail. And you line up the right edge of the box. And so we're going to try our 125 meter shot here. It's a little long, you can see the explosion behind him, so I'm going to drop it down a little bit. Still behind him, interesting. That one was too short, it was in front of him. So as you can see, the 125 meter shot is a little more tricky. I think that was a hit. Let me try one more time. Yep, that was a hit. 125 meter shot takes a little bit longer, and there is some variation in the shots. I haven't moved my mouse between that last hit and that last miss that I was aware of, but very small mouse movements do make a difference at this range. So 125 is a hard shot to make. I wouldn't recommend trying that until you've practiced, and as you can see, even if you've practiced, it can be hard. But the point here is that you can really suppress a guy from a great range. There's a hit. Yeah, and he's down. So here's the other note about this. So let's say, well, what good is this to you? Because he's just going to shoot you, right? But what if he's not? Because you're going to crouch behind this, and no friendly aircraft is going to run you over. So there's my hit. Standing. I crouch. Oh, they got rid of shoot. My hard light barrier was destroyed by a friend. Well, the point here is that you can actually hit him from behind the hard light barrier because of the arc of your rifle round. So if I line that up again, and there I got the max next to him, so it's not too far out. A little short, I brought it in a little, excuse me, I was a little long, I shortened it, there's a hit. Okay, so he's down. Now look, I'm going to do this one more time. Do a shot standing, but I can actually crouch behind this and still hit him. There's my hit on one. I didn't move anything, I just crouched. And there's a hit and he's dead. So the point of this is once you get on target, you can crouch down and just stay down. And from 125 meters away, behind a barrier, unless he's a really good infiltrator, it's going to be hard to hit you. And that's if it even figures out what's going on. Alright, so that is a demonstration of how to use the rifle barrel grenade launcher. The reference points on the gun are very similar on different guns. So, for instance, if I was to switch this out to Gauss Compass S, you'd find similar things. Oh, I knew I almost got that guy. Thank you for your time and attention.